Hi, I'm Robert Bixler from the University of Notre Dame, and I work with Sidney DeMello at the University of Colorado Boulder on this research. I'll be talking about building cross-domain models of mind wandering using eye gaze features. You've probably had the experience of going about your day engaged in some task only to find you started thinking about something else and forgot what you were doing. This phenomenon is commonly called mind wandering. Mind wandering is generally characterized by a decoupling between internal thoughts and the task at hand. The frequency of mind wandering varies depending on the task and environment, but ranges between 20 to 50%. Research shows a negative relationship between mind wandering and comprehension, which indicates that tasks such as reading or learning are negatively impacted by mind wandering. User interfaces that facilitate tasks requiring attention, such as online learning systems, could therefore benefit from a method to mitigate the negative effects of mind wandering. One potential method to address mind wandering is to reorient attention back to the task at hand using a reactive intervention. For example, a user interface system could display a message to notify a user that they should repeat some portion of the task. This type of intervention would need to be triggered when mind wandering occurs, which requires a mind wandering detector. Research into mind wandering detection has expanded significantly in the last decade. Mind wandering detectors have been built using a variety of modalities and have been applied to a variety of domains. Collecting data in order to build a new model for a new stimulus can be expensive, so it would be useful if similar pre-existing data could be leveraged to build a cross-domain model. Building a cross-domain model that uses data from one domain to classify data from a different domain is a type of transfer learning called domain adaptation. The goal of our work was to build a cross-domain mind wandering detector using eye gaze features. We focus on eye gaze to detect mind wandering due to the eye-mind link, which suggests a close coupling between internal processing and eye movements. Mind wandering is characterized by a breakdown between internal thoughts and external stimuli, which should be reflected in distinct eye movement patterns. The current study facilitated cross-domain models by collecting data from the same participants across stimuli from different domains. We collected eye gaze data and mind wandering reports from 132 students while they viewed 7 stimuli in a random order for 6 minutes each. We used 2 different eye tracking setups. The first used a Tobii IX eye tracker affixed below a laptop. The second consisted of a monitor, an iLink 1000 eye tracker, and a tower-mounted headrest spaced 60 centimeters away. Mind wandering reports were collected using thought probes. When a probe occurred, participants were asked to press a key if they were mind wandering. There were 3 probes per stimulus spaced randomly between 90 to 120 seconds apart, resulting in 1,980 total reports. 2 of the stimuli were control and were analyzed here. The 5 stimuli we did analyze have been used in previous research and consisted of an illustrated text with 2 diagrams of everyday devices, along with expository text displayed for 3 minutes each, the first 6 minutes of a French narrative film about a boy following a balloon, the first 6 minutes of a video lecture on population growth, a series of 6 static images of various city scenes shown for 1 minute each, and 6 minutes of a Sherlock Holmes novel with pages presented for 5 to 15 seconds. Mind wandering rates differ between the 5 domains analyzed. The narrative film was the most engaging with a mind wandering rate of 0.27, and mind wandering occurred most frequently during the static scenes with a rate of 0.59. We built models using data from short time windows prior to each probe. Each type of model used windows of the same size, ranging from 10 to 50 seconds long. We computed fixations and saccades using standard eye movement detection algorithms and compared them using qualitative and quantitative scores. We settled on a dispersion threshold algorithm with a threshold of 57 pixels. Our first set of features were global features that were not dependent on stimuli. The bulk of these were descriptive statistics of various eye movement metrics during the window of data. We used these features for supervised machine learning. We built models with a variety of hyperparameters as shown in this table. We selected our final set of parameters using the area under the receiver operating characteristic, or AUROC, as our metric. We built the models using participant-level 5-fold cross-validation. For a given fold and iteration, the training set consisted of data from the source domain and from participants that were not in the fold. The testing set consisted of data from the held-out participants from the target domain. Additional data processing steps in the training set in each fold included removal of multicollinear features, within domain normalization, and removal of outliers. We explored 3 additional approaches to build cross-domain mind-wandering models. The first of these was to compute locality features which capture the proportional spatial distribution of eye movements with respect to the stimulus. Each cell is a separate feature, so here there would be 28 different features. We also implemented 2 different domain adaptation techniques. The first was instance-based domain adaptation, which determines how well a given instance from the source domain can predict data from the target domain. Our method involved weighting each source domain training set instance using a meta-classifier trained on unlabeled instances from the target domain, and training a weighted classifier to classify a different set of instances from the target domain using the weighted instances. Feature-level domain adaptation entailed rebaiting features based on how their distribution differs between the source and target domain without considering the class labels. Features with similar distributions between each domain received higher weightings. Within domain models were evaluated using AUROC. We evaluated cross-domain models using the transfer ratio, or TR. TR measures the performance of a cross-domain model targeting a given domain in comparison to the within-domain model for that target domain. A TR of 1 or greater indicates a cross-domain model with the same or superior performance as the within-domain model, while a TR less than 1 indicates inferior performance. The diagram set resulted in the best within-domain models, resulting in an AUROC of 0.72. These results overall are comparable to those from previous studies, shown in the table below. For our cross-domain models, we report the AUROC for each domain pair on the left and the TR on the right. Each cell shows performance of a given model trained using data from the domain in the rows and evaluated using data from the domain in the columns. Within-domain models are on the diagonal. Primary takeaways are that the illustrated text, scene, and lecture domains all transferred well among one another. The film and the text domains transferred well to one another, and the scene domain transferred well to all other domains. We also built composite models that were trained using 2 domains and evaluated on the third. We compared the average performance of all of these models to the average performance of the cross-domain models that were trained using a single domain. The source and target average TR reflects the average of all models that were trained with a given domain source or evaluated on a given target domain, respectively. On average, the composite models perform better than the baseline cross-domain models. We use the same type of comparison to compare the cross-domain models using the global features to 2 different types of models using locality features and models using domain adaptation techniques. On average, the locality features where a grid size of 4x4 perform better than the global features, with improvements for all domains except the film domain. However, neither domain adaptation technique was successful at performing better than the global cross-domain models. Our main finding was that we could transfer across domains, with global eye gaze features achieving an average TR of 0.54. We were able to improve on these results on average by building models using multiple domains or using locality features, but the domain adaptation techniques we implemented did not result in any improvements. One of the main limitations was a low volume of data, which made it more difficult to use deep learning techniques. We also were not able to effectively classify smooth pursuits because our calibration procedure only included static fixation points. Finally, our data was collected in the lab and included a relatively homogeneous sample of university students, so it is not clear how well these results were generalized to other populations. Some of our future work should be aimed at addressing these limitations. Collecting a larger volume of data from a more diverse population and improving the calibration procedure could improve generalizability. Future work could also explore domain adaptation techniques in more depth. Finally, integrating cross-domain models into attention-aware technologies would help to research effective interventions. Thank you.